Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Office Hours Podcast. I'm your host, the college and scholarship expert. My name is Kenneth Woodard. As you can see, I am a graduate of the Joseph Business School. I'm currently in law school in my third year. And outside of that, I've spent 10 years, actually 12 now, doing college counseling and scholarship counseling. And I have amassed so much knowledge on that. I just thought that it's time to democratize it, to get it out to the people. So we do a lot on YouTube, but this is the space to kind of dive in deep. We go a lot deeper here. If anything that you've seen on YouTube intrigued you or you wanted steps for how to do those things, you're at the right place. You're in my office hours, with the college and scholarship expert. So today we're going to talk about that number one thing that juniors can do to really accelerate their scholarship winnings and to increase the opportunity that they have to get into the top colleges. So we talked about this. We said, hey, while visiting colleges, researching scholarships, even having conversations with your college counselor at the high school, while all of those are great things, number one thing that you can do as a junior is to make sure you get in as many AP, which is advanced placement, and IB, which is international baccalaureate classes that you absolutely can. The reason for that, again, is threefold. So number one, colleges love to see that students are going into the AP and the IB classes because it shows that they're ready for college level learning. It shows that they are embracing the academic rigor. Again, those classes, when you talk about like something like AP composition and language, when you talk about AP music composition or AP physics or AP bio, when you talk about those classes, they really are built in a way, and especially the tests are built in a way that prepares students for college. So colleges look at that and they say this student is ready for the big leagues. They're ready for college, and that's one of the main reasons. But number two is the credit side. Now, colleges have different policies on this. Some colleges will take any AP or IB course that you take as credit for their college. So in other words, if you sign up and get at least a C or better, or maybe they have a policy that you get at least a B or better in those classes, they'll take it for credit. Now, other colleges are going to be a little bit more prescriptive about that. So you take IB, for example, International Baccalaureate. There are two tracks that you can do. There's standard level, there's higher level. Some colleges give credit for higher level, not standard level. Some colleges give credit for both. When it comes to AP classes, some colleges say, okay, you have to take the test in order to get credit. The tests range from scores 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, 5 being the highest. Some say as long as you get a 3, you get it for credit, as long as you get a 4 or higher. And some want you to get either a 4 or 5 or a 5 for credit. And so there's all these different policies. If you have some colleges in mind already, you can go look up what their policy is for taking AP courses or IB courses for credit. Outside of that, though, maybe you don't have colleges in mind. The best way to maximize your chances is just to do all the things. Maximize the number of AP courses that you can take. If your high school is an IB school, then maximize the number of higher level IB courses that you can take, and take any test associated with. Now, here is a pro tip, because I know, especially in the community that I came from, there are very, very few AP courses offered in the neighborhood school where I came from. The neighborhood school where I came from, I didn't go to that high school, but the one really close to my house, it was like on the lowest level of learning where I came from at the time. And I don't think they had a single AP course even offered at that school. So here's a pro tip. What you can actually do is study for AP classes on your own. Even if your high school doesn't offer it, you can actually buy AP books, AP study materials, learn the class on your own time, like after school, in your own time, and sign up to take the test. It's not the case that you have to have had the class through your high school to take the test. So pro tip is, whatever your high school doesn't offer, you can learn the material by yourself. Just go online, find what those study books are for those classes. And there's so many different kinds of AP and IB classes. Take the classes that you're really strong in. So if you're really strong in math, you may want to take the AP Calculus class. Or if you're really strong in sciences, maybe AP Bio and Physics are going to be a better fit for you. But even if you're an art student or a music student, there are classes that you can take in both of those areas. So you don't have to have it where your high school offers it in order for you to take it. And then, of course, if you're going to spend the time and the effort to study that material, you absolutely should sign up for the test. Those tests, I think they were like $75 years ago. They may be more now. All the prices are going up on everything. But, of course, take the test for any study materials that you do on your own if you don't have the option to do it through your high school. And that will actually look even better for colleges, where they will say, wow, this student here, they didn't even have the class offered at their high school, but they're so interested in learning, and they're just demonstrating that they are a lifelong learner to the extent that they learned this material on their own, signed up for the test on their own, when usually students leverage their high school guidance counselor for that, and they took the test and did well, got a 3, got a 4, got a 5. That will look so good to an admissions counselor that you almost write the story yourself. I mean, if you're like, hey, I don't know what to write on for my college essay, well, there's an idea right there. Weaving in your story and your narrative with how you learned how to take initiative and learned how to learn material on your own, even if you didn't have resources at your high school. That's a very powerful thing. So I'm just thinking about all the students who might come from communities like the one I come from, where there aren't a lot of resources in the community. There are ways to rise above that. There are ways to get ahead. And I honestly wasn't that savvy when I was your age, when I was a young person. But looking back, this is exactly the kind of thing that I wish someone would have told me, because it would look so good. Now, it could be hard to do this. It could be hard to pull off. If you're interested in this idea and you want to know where to get started, please reach out to me. The College and Scholarship Expert at gmail.com. If you reach out to me, I definitely can give you resources to point you in the right direction. So email us. All right. The other thing that we talked about was saving money. So we said, number 1, colleges really like it. Number 2, you can get credit if you do this. And number 3, saving money. Talked a little bit about the student. She was a 17-year-old, I think, from University High School in Urbana-Champaign. Very brilliant. She had taken so many AP courses that this is the conversation that we had after we met this young lady. We said she's taken so many AP courses that she could literally start as a second semester sophomore, which means that the college misses out on about $60,000, $70,000 in revenue, because the student is taking all this work at the high school level. And so what I found out was that our college had a policy that you can only come in with so many AP credits or IB credits. And so that might be something you want to ask up front is, if you're thinking about a certain college or a certain set of colleges, shouldn't be just one, it should be a set of colleges. If you're thinking about these colleges, you should ask up front and say, how many AP or IB courses can I come in the door with for credit? Because that will let you know kind of where you can save the most money. And that's not the only reason to choose a college. Of course, I would say that the most important reasons to choose a college is that, number 1, the cost. Number 2, that it's a good academic match for you. And then number 3, that it's going to be a good fit for you in terms of the supports that you need on campus. Those 3 things are going to be important. But cost is super important. So see who is going to work with you and all the work that you put in for AP and IB courses. So I'm not delusional in that, I don't think most of you are going to have that problem, but maybe more people than I'm suggesting it will come into this, I think, a good problem of having so many AP and IB possible credits that the college has to then scratch their head and think about how many are we really going to allow in, because every credit that we allow in is a credit they don't have to pay for, and it also means they can graduate early. So I would really encourage you to take those steps. Now, as a junior, and we're still talking about the number 1 thing that a junior can do, what are the steps that you take to go down this path, right? So if you say, college and scholarship expert, this sounds great. I do want to do this, but where do I start? Well, it's going to be dependent on your high school. So every high school has a different process, right? And the process may be that you start with your guidance counselor and you have a meeting and you get an approval of what classes you can take. Now, what I have noticed in the past, I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of students over the 12 years that I've been doing mentoring and college counseling. And what I've noticed is that for students who are on the verge with their grades, like it could go either way. Maybe you've got mostly A's, but some B's and a C, or maybe you've got a ton of B's and A's. What I've seen is that guidance counselors in high schools won't always offer up the options that you have to get into these AP and IB courses because they want to keep those courses small and almost elite courses, for just their highest tracked students. And so you might have to advocate a little bit and say, hey, what are the requirements to get into these AP classes or IB classes? How close am I to those requirements? Do I meet those requirements? And is there an appeal process that I can do so that I can make sure that I get into these classes? Just to give you some insight, some high schools have it where whatever the course you're trying to get into for AP, you had to have had a B in that course. So if you're trying to get into AP Bio, you had to have had a B in AP Bio in just plain Bio in order to get into AP Bio. Some high schools have it where you had to have had at least an A- or an A in Bio to get into AP Bio, or you had to have had an A in algebra and geometry and trigonometry in order to get into AP calculus. So most high schools base it off of the grades that you had in prior classes that track along to that. So if you're in band, right, you had to have had A's in band in order to get into AP music composition or some requisite class in order to get into that. And so they have these rules. It's different for every high school. But what you want to find out is what are the requirements? How close are you to those requirements? And then is there an appeal process? So is there a process where you can say, even though I'm a little bit lower on the grading scale to get in, can I take a test? Can I write a letter to demonstrate that I will do my very best in this class and I will excel and I will exceed? Don't stop asking. Don't stop advocating for yourself until you feel like you've overturned every stone to get into those classes. Absolutely don't stop. And I also would say the summer before your junior year starts, of course, is when you should start finding out. You should find out what your guidance counselor's email is. And fair warning, a lot of guidance counselors shift to new jobs over the summer. So it may be a case where there isn't an email for an active guidance counselor because they're hiring someone. Then you need to take it up the chain to maybe the head of the department or the assistant principal of your high school or the principal of your high school. But you have to get somebody to let you know during the summer of what the process is, because if you don't know what the process is going into your junior year and classes are starting, the chances of them shifting you from a course that you're already in into an AP course are very minimal. So make sure that you get these things lined up, get all of your questions answered during the summer, or at least as early as possible. And again, if you need some guidance and help with that, some resources, email me at email me at either email thescholarshipman.com or email me at thecollegeandscholarshipexpert@gmail.com. So thank you for listening. We are hoping that you utilize some of these things, but don't take this information and do nothing with it. At a minimum, email me and say, I'm interested, but I don't know where to start, and we can go from there. I want you all to use this information. It's absolutely the number one thing that juniors can do to set themselves up to get into top colleges and get scholarship. It's absolutely the best thing you can do. So Hope you enjoyed this. Please recommend it to your friends. And again, I would love for you to email me at thecollegeandScholarshipExpert@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you on the next podcast. This has been Office Hours with your host, Kenneth Woodard, the College and Scholarship Expert.